Okay, Harold and I are all set to go.
Can't believe it. At the airport, ready for our tour of Scandinavia. Oh, I can hardly wait.
Well, let's go. First stop, Iceland.
Dear Greta, having a great trip so far. I don't know what I expected of the capital of Iceland, but Reykjavik is a modern city. Looks like it was all built in the past 50 years. Notice how all the apartments seem to be designed to take advantage of the light.
Finding a statue of the Viking explorer Leif Erikson in Iceland isn't surprising. After all, he discovered America 500 years before Columbus. But why a statue in front of the cathedral? Well, it seems he was also a key figure in Christianizing the Vikings.
Isn't the cathedral beautiful? We're told the design of the cathedral was inspired by the rock formations found in this area.
Right now we're on the southern coast of Iceland. Where did they get that name, Iceland? Everything here is so green, and the light, it has a special luminous quality.
Greta, you would love the boat trip we took along the coast. The birds nesting in the cliffs by the thousands are exquisite, and we could get right up close to them. Turns out the boat also has wheels and could take us up on the beaches that we couldn't get to otherwise. This is Reykjavik City Hall. People in this city are really friendly. Everyone we've met speaks English, and that sure helps for visitors like us. It's a great city just to relax in. Everywhere you turn, it's like looking at a postcard.
Here's a building made famous by Reagan and Gorbachev when they had their famous first Cold War summit here. It's called Pevdi House.
This is wild. Boiling water bubbles out of the rocks all over Iceland. Evidently, it's geothermal heat that comes from deep volcanic activity. It's got all sorts of wonderful benefits. This is the Blue Lagoon, a natural pool heated by geothermal water. How's this for an alternative beach? And it's right near the airport. They also have a big city pool that is heated year-round by geothermal waters. Wouldn't you love to have a naturally heated hot tub?
Now, here's an interesting place. It's called Thingvellir, and it's the location of the world's oldest known parliament. Guidebook says Viking chieftains started meeting here annually as early as the year 930 to make laws and settle scores. That split, you see, is also the geological split between Europe and North America. This is where the tectonic plates meet.
Horseback riding is a big thing in Iceland. They have a unique breed of horses with a special gait that has been kept pure of crossbreeding for centuries. Harold and I especially enjoyed a jeep safari up a glacier. It's amazing how many different activities are available for tourists in Iceland. Iceland has daylight 24 hours a day right now. Harold is mad because we missed entering the midnight golf tournament by 3 days. But he didn't complain about the fishing.
Oh, hated to say goodbye to that extraordinary sculpture they call Birth of a Jet at Iceland's airport. Well, we'll just have to come back again. Well, here we are. We made it to Denmark. This place is truly special. Just missed a chance to see Queen Margareta when we visited the palace first thing this morning.
We actually visited the birthplace of Hans Christian Andersen in Odense, but this statue of him is in Copenhagen.
This is truly a fairy tale country. I think this statue in Copenhagen Harbor, inspired by Andersen's tale of the Little Mermaid, may be the most photographed sculpture in the world.
We enjoyed a boat tour starting in the old harbor in Newhaven. Wonderful old buildings here and a great place to relax with a coffee.
Hey, you like our hotel? This grand old building is just off the harbor at the head of Copenhagen's walking street.
Great stores on the walking street, like Bang & Olufsen, for example. The walking street's always crowded. It's the place to shop. George Jensen sells handcrafted silver. Of course, we had to get something hand-painted from Royal Copenhagen. Danish design is really something to behold.
The famous Tivoli Gardens is at the other end of the walking street. They say Disney got his idea from Tivoli Gardens. But you won't find a rose garden in Disneyland or an open-air ballet performance. Or the relaxed atmosphere in many of the restaurants here. No wonder it's so famous.
Once we got outside of Copenhagen, we had a million other wonderful choices to make. The Viking Ship Museum at Roskilde is fascinating. Did you know they've reconstructed several Viking ships that actually sail and are used in reenactments? The ships are historically accurate, I'm sure, but I don't know about all the staged rampage. Still, it's a lot of fun to watch.
I'm sure you know what Legos are. You must have given them to your kids or your grandkids like we did. Here's a whole park called Legoland. All the settings for the rides here. Hey, recognize the U.S. Capitol? Are entirely made of millions of Lego blocks.
Denmark's a small country, and it's easy to get around. The ferry system is incredibly convenient. And now they're building major new bridges that will not only link the main islands of Denmark, but also link Denmark to Sweden.
When I see these country fields, I know why the Danes call their scenic driving roads the Daisy Route.
Did you know there are more than 600 castles, manor houses, and antique inns in Denmark? Too bad we didn't have time to visit them all. They offer gardens, parks, museums, art exhibits, concerts, oh, and overnight accommodations. As of last night, I can literally say I've lived like a king. The restaurants are as wonderful as you'd expect. Since they're open year-round, this would be fun to do in the wintertime.
Noticed as we drove the coast that the Danes use windmills for clean power here a lot. The pristine environment shows it.
There's so much to do in Denmark, we don't know where to begin. I'm sure there's an activity for everyone, no matter what their taste. There are lots of historic and picturesque towns to visit. One of them is Aalborg, at the other end of Denmark from Copenhagen. It's not far from another interesting place called Rebild.
We thought we'd miss not being home for the 4th of July, but guess what? In the town of Rebild, they have a huge celebration of America's Independence Day every year. Felt right at home.
Dear Rita and Carl, Harold and I finally made it to the Norwegian fjords. You were right. They're spectacular. We're sailing on a coastal steamer that stops at 34 different ports all the way up the coast. You really gotta do this.
Really enjoying Stavanger. Here and every place we stop, we find the most colorful outdoor markets. Harold won't stop taking pictures.
Tell your uncle we visited Bergen, the town his ancestors came from. How could they leave such a beautiful old town?
Our ship stopped in Ålesund for midsummer celebration. It's the longest day of the year, and the sun never sets.
One of the traditions of Norway's midsummers is the building of bonfires along the coast. Would you believe these pictures were taken at midnight?
I think they tried to set a world record with this monster bonfire.
We've reached Trondheim, the original capital of Norway. Trondheim is 1,000 years old in 1997. Trondheim's cathedral dates from the 11th century.
The Lofoten Islands are above the Arctic Circle. Sun never sets on our cruise anymore. The Lofotens used to be most famous for cod fishing. Today they've also become an artist colony. It's kind of a Norwegian version of Nantucket.
Driving in Norway is breathtaking. We've gone through a dozen tunnels through the mountains, and every time we come out again, the scene is more spectacular than before.
Of course, we had to visit the home of Edvard Grieg outside of Bergen. He had this private little composing hut down by the lake. I guess that's why nature inspired so much of his music.
I love Norwegian stave churches. This one's 750 years old. We lucked into a private harmonica concert by a parishioner of this church, Sigmund Groven. Finally made it to Oslo. Oh, how I love this city! Probably my favorite place is Vigeland Park and its hundreds of sculptures.
Reminds me of our last trip to Oslo. It was winter then, but I think there were just as many people in the park. I remember the Holmenkollen ski jump, too. Even King Harold turned out to the international competition.
I can't decide what season I like best in Norway, but one thing is sure, winter doesn't slow anybody down here. No wonder everyone looks so healthy.
Dear Denise, as they say, oh how I wish you were here. All of Scandinavia is beautiful, but haven't seen anything like this. Stockholm is a regal city with a busy harbor. You get a sense that this has been the power center of Scandinavia for centuries.
They have a changing of the guard at the royal palaces in Denmark and Norway, too. But here in Stockholm is the first time we've seen one firsthand. Great mix of ancient and modern military traditions. The Vasa Museum is like a museum for a 17th century Titanic. This magnificent warship sunk in Stockholm Harbor on its maiden voyage. It was finally raised and reclaimed with modern technology. It offers a fascinating look at history.
Another fascinating look at history is the outdoor museum Skansen, which has actual buildings from previous centuries in the world's oldest open-air museum. In the little town center, craft workers still do printing and carving and silverwork, and such things as they did centuries ago. Visby is another well-preserved ancient city on the island of Gotland. Makes for a picturesque stroll.
Midsummer's Night is celebrated here just as in the other Scandinavian countries. You can see, though, that every country has its own traditions. Here in Sweden, the focus is the maypole.
We couldn't decide whether we liked Stockholm better on land or on the water, so we took in plenty of both. Also took a tour looping through the south of Sweden, which they call the glass country. While we bought a set of crystal glasses, we most enjoyed watching the creation of glass art pieces.
Sweden was the political center of Scandinavia in recent centuries, so we expected to see some castles. And we did.
We couldn't do everything on this one trip, but looking around, it's obvious that there is everything to do.
Sweden is famous for its smorgasbord, of course, but you should see it at Christmas time. It is the mother of all buffets. Oh, what a feast!
Another long-standing tradition in Sweden is the Feast of Santa Lucia, the Saint of Light, which is celebrated in the dark of December.
This morning we were awakened in our hotel by an angelic chorus singing Santa Lucia in the hotel corridors. This tradition is celebrated all over Sweden. Dear Harriet and Sam, Finland is our 5th Scandinavian country to visit this trip. What's amazing isn't how much they have in common, but how different they are. Helsinki's harbor market is awash in flowers right now, and even during the summer they sell fur caps.
The main square here is topped by the imposing Lutheran cathedral. The stone steps are a constant gathering place. The onion domes of the Uspensky Cathedral shows the Russian influence of the past.
Helsinki's a friendly, bustling city with great shopping. You'd both love it. Here's one of the unique attractions of Helsinki, the Rock Church, so named because it's carved out of a huge granite bedrock, no windows except for a luminous skylight.
You've heard that Finland's famous for architects and architecture. Well, it's true. Everywhere you turn is an extraordinary building. The range goes from classical to ultra-modern experiments in space and light.
The Opera House is one of the newest and largest buildings in Helsinki. It's got to be the most spectacular building I have ever seen.
The intriguing monument to Sibelius in Helsinki shows how important he is and music is to the people of Finland. We also drove out to visit his home in Ainola. The beauty of this remote place was obviously an inspiration to him.
We're in Savonlinna now, in the heart of the lake country. The book says Finland has 187,888 inland lakes.
Who do you suppose counted them all?
This is Savonlinna Castle. We visited on a day when they were rehearsing an opera that is performed in the castle itself as part of the annual Savonlinna Opera Festival. What a great setting. The opera was Hamlet and the diva was an American. So much to see and do here. The Finnish archipelago is a host of islands extending into the Baltic Sea. I think everyone in Finland has property on an island, or maybe owns a whole island. They love to get away in the summertime.
Judith, thanks for giving us the name of the Swami family. They have been wonderful to us. They introduced us to the authentic tradition of the sauna. Afterwards, we enjoyed the Finnish tradition of the crayfish party, celebrating the long summer days with feasting and toasts.
We'll be flying home from Helsinki, but first we wanted to experience the overnight cruise ships we heard so much about that go between Helsinki and Stockholm. If you have the energy, you can stay up all night going one direction, enjoying the daylight that never ends, then spend a day touring or shopping, and then stay up again going the other direction, taking full advantage of this immense floating hotel and its nightclubs.
The Finns are a hardy people with an appetite for the outdoors. It's obvious that life doesn't stop in the winter here.
Winter's great for all types of adventure. One unique specialty in the north is a one-day cruise on an icebreaker in the frozen sea. Sam and Judith told us all about their cruise that began with a snowmobile ride out to the ship in the frozen harbor, made a loop around through the ice, and ended with a dip in the Arctic water, insulated by a survival suit. They also took a tour up to Lapland, where they were able to watch the Lapps, or Sami people, go about their daily routine of reindeer herding.
This is the George Washington of Finland, Marshal Mannerheim. He led the Finns to independence in 1917. They celebrate Independence Day on the 6th of December. It's great the way the young people take part. The university students in their traditional hats march with torches from Mannerheim's grave to the main square of Helsinki.
If you decide to do Christmas in Finland, by the way, you'll really get into the spirit. Finland especially claims to be the home of Santa Claus.
In fact, Finnair declares itself the official air carrier of Santa. So when you fly home, you may have special company.
The 5 Nordic countries of Denmark, Finland, Iceland, Norway, and Sweden are served by 3 Scandinavian airlines. Icelandair, Scandinavian Airlines Systems, SAS, and Finnair offer unparalleled knowledge of these countries, together with first-rate quality and economy. From beginning to end, they offer superb service with direct routes to major U.S. cities. Each offers something distinctive as well. Icelandair is a stepping stone to Central Europe. SAS offers the most routes to Scandinavian and European destinations. Finnair is in a special position to serve as an entry point to Russia and Eastern Europe. Scandinavia is the place to visit. Finnair, Icelandair, and SAS are the way to get there.